Excellencies, heads of state and government, Excellency, Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellency, Madam Chairperson of the African Union Commission, former heads of state and government, distinguished government officials from around the world, esteemed guests, Banyarwanda, Banyarwandakazi mwese, nagira ngo muze kubanza munyemerere mvuge mu rurimi wenda bamwe mutumva, ariko ndibuze kugira n'ijambo nkomeza kuvuga no mu Kinyarwanda. For our distinguished guests, I don't have enough words to express my appreciation to all of you who have come from near and far to be with us on a day as important as this. I also thank all of those who have stood with us in Rwanda's incredible journey of rebuilding. We are gathered here to remember those who lost their lives in the genocide and comfort those who survived. As we pay tribute to the victims, both the living and those who have passed, we also salute the unbreakable Rwandan spirit to which we owe the survival and renewal of our country. Babyeyi bacu, bana bacu, bavandimwe, mwese mwarokotse, Banyarwanda mwanze kwitabira no gukora amarorerwa yabaye mu mateka yacu, n'abo bose bicujije iki cyaha, nimwe mwikoreye umutwaro uremereye w'amateka yacu. Twiyambaje ubutabera mu buryo bushoboka bwose. Twakurikiye inzira y'ubwiyunge, ariko ibyo ntibyasubizaho ibyo twabuze. Muri iyi myaka 20 ishize, Abanyarwanda mwaritanze, mwahagaze imbere y'imiryango y'aho mutuye kugira ngo mutange ubuhamya, mwumva n'abandi babutanga. Mwiyemeje guhangana n'ibyo byose, murangije mutanga n'imbabazi. Uko kwitanga kwanyu ni impano itagira uko ingana mwahaye igihugu cyacu. Ni n'imbuto yavuyemo u Rwanda rushya. ndabashimira. Ndabashimira kuko ubumuntu no gukunda igihugu byanyu byarenze akababaro n'agahinda mwari mufite. Mwarakoze cyane. To our parents, children, brothers and sisters who survived, to Rwandans who defied the call to genocide, and to those who give voice to their remorse, it is you who bear the burden of our history. We have pursued justice and reconciliation as best we could, but it does not restore what we lost. Time and again, these past 20 years, Rwandans have given of themselves. You have stood before the community to bear witness and to listen to others do the same. You have taken responsibility and you have forgiven. Your sacrifices are a gift to the nation. They are the seed from which the new Rwanda grows. Thank you for allowing your humanity and patriotism to prevail over your grief and loss. Thank you very much. Fellow Rwandans, dear friends, historical clarity is a duty of memory that we cannot escape. Behind the words, never again, there is a story whose truth must be told in full. No matter who you are and how uncomfortable. The people who planned and carried out the genocide were Rwandans, but the history and root causes go beyond this beautiful country. This is why Rwandans continue to seek the most complete explanation possible for what happened. We do so with humility as a nation that nearly destroyed itself, but we are nevertheless determined to recover our dignity as a people. "20 years is short or long, depending on where you stand, but there is no justification for false moral equivalence. The passage of time should not obscure the facts, lessen the responsibility, or turn victims into villains. People cannot be bribed or forced into changing their history. and no country is powerful enough, even when they think they are, to change the facts. After all, les faits sont têtus. Ntabwo abantu bagurirwa kugira ngo bahindure amateka yabo. Nta gihugu nubwo cyaba kibwira ko ari igihangange gifite ububasha bwo guhindura ukuri kw'amateka y'abantu. Erega n'ubundi ukuri ntiguhinduka, guca mu ziko ntabwo gushya. When we speak out about the roles and responsibilities of external actors and institutions, it is because genocide prevention demands historical clarity of all of us, not because we wish to shift blame onto others. And those others should have their moment to be humble in the face of historical facts. All genocides begin with an ideology, a system of ideas that says this group of people here, they are less than human and they deserve to be exterminated. The most devastating legacy of European control of Rwanda and in the wider context of Africa was the transformation of social distinctions into so-called races. We were classified and dissected, and whatever differences existed were magnified according to a framework invented elsewhere. The purpose was neither scientific nor benign, but ideological, to justify colonial claims to rule over and civilize supposedly lesser peoples. We are not. This ideology was already in place in the 19th century and was then entrenched by the French missionaries who settled here. Rwanda's 2,000 years of history were reduced to a series of caricatures based on Bible passages and on myths told to explorers. The colonial theories, or the colonial theory of Rwanda, of Rwandan society, claimed that hostility between something called Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa was permanent and necessary. This was the beginning of the genocide against the Tutsi, as we saw it 20 years ago. With the full participation of Belgian officials and Catholic institutions, this invented history was made the only basis of political organization, as if there was no other way to govern and develop society. The result was a country perpetually on the verge of genocide. However, Africans are no longer resigned to being hostage to the world's low expectations. We listen to and respect the views of others, but ultimately, we have got to be responsible for ourselves. In Rwanda, we are relying on universal human values, which include our culture and traditions, to find modern solutions to our unique challenges. Managing the diversity in our society should not be seen as denying the uniqueness of every Rwandan. If we succeed in forging a new, more inclusive national identity, would it be a bad thing? We did not need to experience genocide to become a better people. It simply should never have happened. Kumenya uko tuyobora umuryango nyarwanda n'ibyaba bitandukanye abanyarwanda ntibikwiye kumvikana ko ari ukuburizamo umwihariko wa buri muntu. None se ni bibi kubaka ibituranga duhuriyeho twese? Genocide yakorewe Abatutsi ntiyari ngombwa kugira ngo tube abantu beza n'igihugu cyiza. Ntabwo yagombaga kuba na rimwe. No country in Africa or elsewhere ever needs to become, quote unquote, another Rwanda. But if a people's choices are not informed by historical clarity, the danger is ever present. This is why I say to Rwandans, let's not get diverted. Our approach is as radical and unprecedented as the situation we faced. The insistence on finding our own way sometimes comes with a price. Nonetheless, let's stick to the course. Nta gihugu cyaba icyo muri Afurika cyangwa icy'ahandi aho ariho hose gikwiye guhinduka urundi Rwanda. Ariko ibi birashoboka. Ndavuga u Rwanda rwa kiriya gihe twatakaje abacu bazira bari bo. Ariko ibi byose birashoboka iyo ibyo abantu bahisemo n'ibyo bakora bidashingiye ku mateka asobanutse. Iyi niyo mpamvu mbwira Abanyarwanda ntituzate umurongo. Uko dukora ntibisanzwe, nk'uko iyo twanyuzemo nabyo bidasanzwe. Gutsimbarara ku gushaka uburyo butubereye rimwe na rimwe bifite ikiguzi, ariko tugomba gukomeza mu nzira twahisemo. To our friends from abroad, I believe you value national unity in your own countries where it exists. Where it doesn't, you are working to build it, just as we are. We ask that you engage Rwanda and Africa with an open mind, accepting that our efforts are carried out in good faith for the benefit of all of us. For those who think for Rwanda or Africa to be governed properly by its people, by the leaders chosen by these people, still requires endorsement. They are still living in too distant past. We want you to know that we appreciate your contributions, precisely because we do not feel you owe us anything. Fellow Rwandans, dear friends, Rwanda was supposed to be a failed state. Watching the news today, it is not hard to imagine how we could have ended up. We could have become a permanent UN protectorate with little hope of ever recovering our nationhood. We could have allowed the country to be physically divided, with the groups deemed incompatible assigned to different corners. We could have been engulfed in a never-ending civil war with endless streams of refugees and our children sick and uneducated. But we did not end up like that. What prevented these alternative scenarios was the choices of the Rwandan people. Hari benshi bibwiraga ko u Rwanda rutashobora kongera kubaho nk'igihugu, ariko siko byagenze. Icyabujije ibi byose kuba ni ubushake bw'Abanyarwanda, kandi nibyo twahisemo. After 1994, everything was a priority, and our people were completely broken. But we made 3 fundamental choices that guide us to this day. Choice 1, number 1, we chose to stay together. When the refugees came home, we were choosing to be together. When we released genocide suspects in anticipation of Gacaca, we were choosing to be together. When we passed an inclusive constitution that transcends politics based on division and entrenched the rights of women as full partners in nation building for the first time, we were choosing to be together. When we extended comprehensive new education and health benefits to all our citizens, we were choosing to be together. Choice number 2, we chose to be accountable to ourselves. When we decentralized the power and decision-making into the towns and hills across the country, we are being accountable. When we work with the development partners to ensure that their support benefits all our citizens, we are being accountable. When we will award scholarships and appoint public servants based on merit without discrimination, we are being accountable. When we sanction an official, no matter how high-ranking, who abuses their power or engages in corruption, we are being accountable. As a result, our citizens expect more from government, and they deserve it. Choice number 3, we chose to think big. When Rwandans liberated our country, we were thinking big. When we created Rwanda's Vision 2020 and committed to meeting our development goals, we were thinking big. When we decided to make Rwanda attractive to businesses, we were thinking big. When we invested in a broadband network that reaches all our 30 districts, we were thinking big. When we became a regular contributor to United Nations and African Union peacekeeping missions, we were thinking big. There is more hard work ahead of us than behind us. But Rwandans, we are ready. Nyuma ya Genocide yakorewe Abatutsi, buri kintu cyose cyari ngombwa, cyari ingenzi. Abanyarwanda bari barazahaye, ariko twahisemo ibintu 3 by'ingenzi tugenderaho na n'uyu munsi. Icya mbere, twahisemo ubumwe. kuguma turi umwe aho gucikamo ibice. Icya kabiri twahisemo twebwe ni uko ubwacu tugomba kwihitiramo ibitubereye kandi ibyo dukora bikagaragarira abo bose bikwiye kuba bikorerwa. Icya gatatu twahisemo ni ukureba kure. Birashoboka ko duhora twazakora n'amakosa nk'uko n'ibindi bihugu biyakora. Turayemera kandi ndetse tukanayavanamo amasomo. Akazi kari imbere ni kenshi kandi karakomeye, karuta n'ako turangije, ariko Abanyarwanda twiteguye neza gukomeza akazi keza. A few years ago, at a commemoration event, I met a young man who was one of the 12 people pulled alive from under 3,000 bodies in a mass grave at Murambi. He still lived nearby, totally alone. When the perpetrators he recognized came home from prison, he was understandably terrified. When I asked him how he managed, he told me, "I could not do it unless I was convinced that these impossible choices are leading us somewhere better." "20 years ago, Rwanda had no future, only a past. Yet, as Fidel told us just now, the one who gave testimony earlier, today we have a reason to celebrate the normal moments of life that are easy for others to take for granted. If the genocide reveals humanity's shocking capacity for human cruelty, Rwanda's choices show its capacity for renewal. Banyarwanda, Banyarwandakazi, imyaka 20 ishize u Rwanda rwasaga nk'urudafite aho rugana, nta ejo hazaza uretse ahashize. Ariko nk'uko Fidel yabitubwiye mu kanya kashize, ubu dufite impamvu yo kwishimira no kwizihiza ibintu bisanzwe mu buzima rimwe na rimwe tudatekerezaho cyane ariko abandi bafata nk'ibintu bya buri munsi bidatangaje. Genocide yagaragaje ubugome ndengakamere abantu bashobora kugira, ariko ibyo twahisemo n'ibyo twakoze byatweretse ko abantu bafite ubushobozi bwo gukora ibyiza bakubaka igihugu gishya. Dear friends, today half of all Rwandans are under 20 years old. Nearly 3/4 are under 30. They are the new Rwanda. seeing these young people carry the flame of remembrance to all corners of the country over the last 3 months gives us enormous hope. We are all here to remember what happened and to give each other strength. As we do, we must also remember the future to which we have committed ourselves. Banyarwanda, Banyarwandakazi, twaje hano kwibuka ibyabaye no gushyigikirana. Mu kubikora, hari ikindi tugomba kwibuka. Tugomba kwibuka ejo twiyemeje kandi tukahagera. Murakoze cyane. Thank you all very much.